Oh, we turned in dispatch? Yeah. It's like usually.
Who farted?
Because usually, once I say this, you forget about what I said.
We all did. Actually, within the past 5 minutes, odds are someone farted in this room. Within the past half hour, about half of us have farted. And almost all of us have farted within the past 3 hours. The average person passes about 3 pints a day of gas. And we do it about 10 to 24 times a day. How a fart is formed. When excess gas is sensed in the rectum, a signal is sent to the brain. The sphincter relaxes, and the rectum contracts, and a fart is born. Now, most of us are medics, and we know something about human anatomy and the gastrointestinal system. Some of us who've worked in a medical capacity know that a fart can be both a symptom and it can be a sign of recovery. For example, my wife, who has had 2 cesarean C-sections, after she was able to pass gas, the doctor knew that she had healthy bowels, and that healthy bowel activity was a sign that she could be released from the hospital. Now, as soldiers, we are all very intimately familiar with farts because we are often crowded into small confined places, such as this room, and smaller areas like tents. We are often forced to stand in formation for an hour at a time even. And when someone passes gas, we can sense it almost immediately. Now, if it's windy out, of course, we may not smell it right away. We may only smell it briefly. If it's humid, someone might make a comment like, "Who crapped their pants?" This is often heard in the military. A fart travels at about 10 feet per second. About 10 feet. Now, this can depend on factors like the weather conditions, the distance the fart has to travel, the humidity, the wind, and the pungency of the flatulation. Now, as far as holding in farts, we've all had to hold in farts at times. But the question that we sometimes ask is, where does the fart go? Because we hold it in for the time being, but when it's time to release the fart, it's not there anymore. So we wonder, where does it go? Does it leak out slowly? Is it absorbed into the bloodstream? Actually, no, neither is true. The fart migrates back up into the intestine. And it is comforting to know that the fart is not lost, it is only delayed. Now, those of us who work with others and hold in our farts, although most of us guys are somewhat proud of them, but those of us who have to hold in our farts, at the end of the day, we go to sleep and we probably sound like a full orchestra. Now, holding in 2 farts is actually unhealthy. It can cause the pathological distension of the intestine and even hemorrhoids. The ingredients of a fart. Basically, a fart is caused from swallowed air as well as gas seeping into the intestines from the bloodstream. It also is caused from chemical reactions within the stomach and the intestine and bacteria that's generated, bacteria that generates carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and in some people, methane. And I'll touch on methane. What time's my time? Okay. Now, the proportions of a fart, how big a fart can be, how much gas you pass, can depend on what you eat, how much air you swallow, the kinds of bacteria that are in your colon and your intestines, and the time held before the fart is released. Now, there are 2 types of people that fart more than others. There's nervous swallowers, people that are very nervous and jittery. They tend to swallow more air. And then there's methane producers. Only 1/3 of adults produce methane in their farts. And one way to find out if you're a methane producer is not recommended because it's dangerous, is you could light a fart on fire. Now, don't do that because 25% of the time show that from surveys of people that have done this, it can actually burn your colon. So don't light your farts on fire. but there is something called the Royal Order of the Blue Flame. Now, if you light your farts on fire and there's a blue flame, that's a sign that you are a methane producer. You're a member of that elite group, that 1/3 of the population. Now, it's actually genetic if you're a methane producer. If both of your parents are a methane producer, then you have a 95% chance of being a methane producer. And if you're not, then your farts will be, your fart gases will ignite a yellow flame. Okay. If you ingest sulfur-rich foods, then your farts will also smell more because you'll produce that hydrogen sulfide gas in your digestive process. Now, indole is the smelly byproduct of bacteria when it breaks down the amino acid tryptophan. And tryptophan is it's an amino acid that is the only way that your body creates that fecal smell of indole. Foods like cauliflower, eggs, and meat contain more sulfur, and beans, they are not a sulfur-rich food, and they don't produce a lot of odor, but they do produce a lot of farting because beans they contain 3 sugars that your body can't break down. We don't have the bacteria in our stomachs to digest the 3 sugars in beans. It contains raffinose, stachanose, and vertiscose. Dogs have different things they can't digest. If you feed your dog vegetables, they will flatulate quite a lot because most vegetables, they don't have the bacteria to break down those. Now, if you do fart a lot from beans, Beano can help. And if you're lactose intolerant, then you fart more than other people, especially if you ingest, because that lactose is the sugar that you'll have trouble breaking down in that case. Okay, so fart sounds. One more thing is fart sounds. Most people believe the misconception is that fart sounds are created by the flapping together of your butt cheeks. But in fact, it is from the vibrations of your anal opening. Okay? Now, some of this information I got from Who Cut the Cheese? It's a cultural history of the fart by Jim Dawson, and Ben Franklin's classic Fart Proudly. And to sum this up, I would like to end with some ancient wisdom. Remember, beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So eat beans with every meal. Thank you. Do these guys. Cool.
You didn't want to say it's better out than in?
It's better out than in. That's Shrek.
That was...
Clark, that was really good.
Thank you, Sergeant.
But how did you manage to keep a straight face through that whole?
Because Sergeant Burnett was back there making me nervous, so I couldn't.